It's a regular day. You're at home scrolling your favorite social media when suddenly you can feel it. You're hungry. You're pretty tired and a pretty terrible cook anyways, so you decide it would be better to order something instead and open up your favorite food delivery app. You settle on getting a large burrito. Add the extra jalapenos, you like to keep it a bit spicy, bringing your subtotal to about $16. Filled with excitement, you're just about to check out when... oh, just $4 more until free delivery. On second thought, a whole burrito meal doesn't sound like a bad idea. A salad on the side, you do want to stay healthy. And a cup of Coke sounds a whole lot better than the plain old water you have at home. Delivery time, 10 to 30 minutes. It's okay, but the priority delivery for just an extra $1.50 sounds a lot better. You are pretty hungry after all. And just like that, after the service fees and taxes, your $16 order just turned into $33.50, more than double what you had initially expected. And you're not alone. According to a study from 2021, about 30% of Americans admit they overspend when using food delivery services. That number is closer to 50% for Gen Z users. But how did this happen? And why? Today we're taking a look behind the complex psychology of food delivery apps and how in just under 10 minutes, even if you don't want to, they are able to trick you into spending as much money as possible. The food delivery industry has now been around for a couple of decades, but for most of us, it probably feels like it appeared out of nowhere only a few years back. This explosive growth was largely influenced by the pandemic in 2020 and the rapid adaptation of Uber driving as a full-time job. Companies realized that instead of driving people around in a taxi, that same car and that same driver could also be used to deliver food to people who were now forced to stay home for most of the day. Add these two things together, and today the food delivery industry in the United States alone is worth an estimated $353 billion and is projected to almost double by 2030 with around $700 billion. Almost all of the biggest companies have their own mobile apps and a huge network of delivery drivers, ensuring that the customer can comfortably make an order at basically any time of the day. The apps in particular are a huge cornerstone of the business. This seamless integration between the restaurant, the customer, and the driver is the main selling point of these companies to all three parties involved. It is obviously super convenient for the customer, and the data shows that for the restaurants, the average order value is usually increased by 30 to 40% when using these delivery apps. But this huge increase over regular in-person orders is not because the customers just love the apps so much they want to buy more. There's something more going on here. These apps are carefully designed and always being perfected to maximize company profits. It's also why most of these apps have such similar designs and layouts. It's backed up by huge amounts of user behavior data and is proven to be very effective. The first page you see usually contains different categories, like for example your favorite restaurants based on past orders. Customers are more likely to order from places they are already familiar with. Next up is probably the most popular places in your local area, followed by various more specific categories like breakfast cafes, grocery stores, or these days even furniture and home supplies from your local Target. Once you've chosen the place you want to order from, you are immediately told exactly what your delivery fee is going to be. Well, okay, maybe not exactly. Uber Eats, for example, will use an algorithm based on order value, demand, location, and driver availability to determine a delivery fee for your specific order. In the meantime, it will say something like lowest, low, or moderate delivery fee. They intentionally use super vague terms because it's harder for the user to think about the final price when you can't even see a specific number. This is something called a dark pattern. The menu is purposefully crafted to prevent the customer from ever thinking about the inevitable delivery fee until the checkout page, which for most customers by that point is going to be a done deal. when is the last time you removed something from your cart just because the delivery fee turned out to be a bit higher than you expected? Next to the expected fee is the lowest possible delivery time. But this estimate also usually doesn't tell the whole story, because this time can quickly start going up as you add more things to your cart that will take longer for the restaurant to make or the driver to deliver. Below, you will find promotional deals and usually an advertisement for the company's premium subscription. Usually costing between $5 to $10 per month, they offer generous perks like free delivery on your orders, but only if you reach a certain order value. Also discounts on your orders, but also only if they meet the minimum order value. So if you're someone who orders at least several times per week, this is probably a good choice for you. But for most people, it's usually going to be just a huge waste of money. Finally, once you make it to the actual food items, you can find what you've been waiting for. Let's say this time it's a cheesy pizza. Once you tap on the icon, you are met with the first upsell. The moderate price of about $14 for your pizza listed in the banner is just the cheapest one of all the available options. You don't really want to go for the small option, so you go for the large, of course. And while you're at it, you realize you can add some green peppers on your pizza for just a small price jump, but it's still worth it. Let's add those. Your large pizza is going to be pretty hard to devour though without a refreshing bottle of Coke. And oh look, the 2-liter bottle is only $1 more than the smaller option. Yeah, it's going in the bag. And this here was yet another example of a dark pattern. Instead of lowering the price of the more expensive upsell, stores will often rise the price of the cheaper option instead. So now the more expensive option seems like a great deal by comparison, resulting in the customer buying more than they initially wanted. Before heading to checkout, you're usually shown your subtotal price on the bottom of the screen, but apps like Uber Eats will take it even a step further, only showing you the count of items in the cart, but not the subtotal price in the menu screen. Another dark pattern, keeping you from checking the total price and forcing you to go to the checkout page after every single added item if you wanted to know the exact subtotal price. But before you get to the checkout page, there's yet another upsell, a page with the most common add-on items to complete your order. Well, I guess a brownie for dessert after the pizza does sound pretty nice. Whatever. Finally, you're at the checkout page, and only here is where you start to understand what your little midnight snack is really going to cost you. If you don't have the premium subscription or don't meet the minimum order value, you will be charged a delivery fee depending on how far it needs to be delivered and how many drivers are available at the moment. Then usually come taxes and quote-unquote other fees. This includes actual taxes required by your state or country, but also may include a small order fee applied to orders below a certain price threshold, incentivizing you to order even more to avoid paying the fee, which is just yet another dark pattern. Then there's usually a small service fee as well, something like $1 or a small percentage of your order value, depending on the specific platform. This is usually justified to the customer as necessary for keeping the platform up and running, as well as processing your transaction. But that's not entirely true. This service fee is just what you, the customer, pay to the platform, but they also charge a similar fee for every single order to the restaurants. This usually lands between 15 and 30% of the order value, which is also a major reason why most items on the menu are listed for significantly more than if you were to order them from the restaurant directly. They simply have to raise prices to keep the same profit margin. And yeah, your order is already like twice as expensive as you initially planned, but we're still not done here. Something that may not be very popular in Europe but happens a lot of the time in the US is tipping the driver. And even here, there's a few little tricks that subtly push the customer to tip more. Most apps will have preset percentages or preset amounts to tip to the driver. Most users, of course, are lazy enough to never type in an amount themselves, so if the app has slightly higher presets than the customer would go for themselves, chances are they will just go with the preset even if it's more than they really wanted to tip. This same strategy has already been tested and proven with taxis in New York City. Introducing tipping presets also resulted in a substantial increase of taxi drivers' wages. So chances are, if you're in the US and are a pretty generous person, we can also add about a 15% tip to our total cost. Which finally leads you to the order button. You clearly see the price, but you don't quite understand how you actually got here. What lasted just mere minutes was actually a psychological journey carefully designed to make you give in to your desires at every single turn. If at this point you were given a clear choice to only buy what you initially wanted versus what you ended up with, would you really still go for it? A lot of you will probably say no, and that is why the whole journey is designed to slightly nudge you to spend just a little bit more each time. By themselves, these choices don't seem like they make much of a difference, but it's only at the checkout where you really see how they accumulated together. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, or rather, overeating by 1,000 upsells. The online food delivery industry is only projected to grow for the next 10 years, meaning they will likely find more and more innovative ways to squeeze out as much money as possible from every interaction. But hopefully you watching this video right now will be ready, and I hope this video will make you think twice before accepting the next upsell or falling for the next dark pattern, tricking you into making choices you know are ultimately bad for you. Good luck out there.